when you put all this in perspective, it's very, very serious, Nima, and it touches you. All of us, there are very, very emotional moments when we, for instance, we are discussing with a super high level guy from the political council, for instance, and he's talking about spirituality, moral values, why they adopted this decision to defend their brothers, which they insist all the time in Palestine. They will not back down. They are not intimidated by the empire. So you look at them and said, wow. You have to marvel at that, because they are today, for the whole planet, I will say, at the vanguard of resistance and all forms of resistance. And they instill fear in the Americans. This absolutely stupid so-called leak, which was not a leak, of those clowns discussing, okay, we need to send a message, let's bomb Yemen because we can, Okay, it's a bloody bunch of clowns who don't know anything about these people, these warriors, this civilization, the richness of the history of Yemen, which is the real Arabia. Here is southern Arabia. Here is what the Roman Empire used to call Arabia Felix, happy Arabia. And it was supposed to always be happy Arabia because they have everything here. Among other things, because of this. The best coffee on the planet. And we went twice to this very large coffee producer here, Haraz, extremely professional. And they show us all the varieties of coffee that they have, stuff that we never even heard about. And of course, we tasted some of them, but it's absolutely unbelievable. And everybody knows I am a coffee fanatic. Nah? My podcast to Brazil is called Pepe Café. Yes, cafe, because I drink coffee all over the planet. But drink, yeah, right, Nima. But to drink Yemeni coffee, you go to another level. It's like you are tripping on LSD without the acid, with coffee.
É muito interessante você falando de Yemen, and we don't know anything about Yemen. It seems to me something unbelievable. How do they feel, Pepe, about the way that the Trump administration is attacking them and believing their attack is something different from the Biden administration's one?
It's not, Nima, exactly. Of course, this was one of the first questions that we all had. And their answers are in an Arabic way, as much as I can distinguish with my minimalistic Arabic, metaphorical, very measured. They are not aggressive at all. They said, yes, we didn't expect any change. We had previous administrations that were bombing us, saying that they were not, that they were part of a so-called coalition, which they were supporting from the beginning with weapons. So the bombs that were launched against us in the 2010s, until there was an armistice between Saudi Arabia and Yemen, they were American bombs, of course, launched by American planes. So they have no illusions. So in this aspect, there are some similarities with some deep Russian thinkers. No illusions about the empire, right? But at the same time, they put everything under the context of the genocide in Palestine. For instance, we are here essentially as part of a conference on Palestine, which started on Saturday morning and ended a few hours ago, 4 days. We were part of it basically for 2 days. And these other 2 days, we had a lot of Yemeni analysts and scholars and all that they were debating the whole Palestine drama, the genocide put in context, the axis of resistance, and they're going to elaborate a set of conclusions. And we're going to receive these conclusions in Arabic and English after a few days. And then we can start talking about it in detail. But they take it extremely seriously, and they have people who study this extremely seriously. And they are very well informed, Nima. For instance, when that story of the so-called signal leak broke, 10 minutes later, everybody here already knew. The diplomats, the security people, the intelligence services, the people who are taking care of us, everybody already knew about it. So they're very well informed. You cannot fool them. And they follow closely everything that happens in Washington, because now they are a target. So the target, this whole government, which is expanding to North Yemen, and then all the way to, let's say, maybe 50 kilometers with the Saudi border, and then extending to the west all the way to the Red Sea, which is it's very complicated, because we have been lobbying from the beginning to go to Hodeidah. It's an extremely risky security operation, so maybe it will not be possible. They say they are trying. They are worried about our security. Of course, they are worried about the security of not only of foreigners, but themselves, and the fact that CENTCOM, one of their obsessions for the moment, I would say, is to destroy the port of Hodeidah, probably completely. So this is an extremely serious geopolitical, geoeconomic issue. And Hodeidah for them is absolutely essential for their exports and imports who cross the Bab al-Mandeb and go to across the Red Sea, and they come to Hodeidah. And don't forget that Yemenis are a trading people since time immemorial. Do you know how Islam arrived in Southeast Asia? By Yemenis, by sea. So it's everything. So the people from Malaysia and Indonesia, for instance, including our friend, these Malaysian researchers, they know very, very well the cultural, religious, and moral importance of Yemen as one of the propagators of Islam around the world, and especially thanks to Yemen, Islam arrived in Southeast Asia, not overland, but by a maritime Silk Road, to quote our Chinese friends. I discussed this with Professor Ma, and obviously this is one of the things that he teaches at his Center of Middle East Studies in China. But coming back to your question, they frame conceptually perfectly well that they knew from the beginning that the backlash would be a bomb, as it is, because and with acts they are defending the people of Gaza with acts, unlike a good deal of the axis of resistance, and if we expand to the Arab world, against the thundering silence or cowardice or both of the Arab world, the Arab League, the Organization of the Islamic States, everybody. So when, for instance, we had yesterday a fabulous discussion, and each of us could pose a detailed question to him, to the former Prime Minister, Professor Bin Habtour, who is now, let's say, the supervisor of. So he came to our hotel. He stayed with us for over 2 hours. He answered all the questions in detail. It was absolutely fascinating. But he was making a point all the time. This is, let's say, a mix of a political decision, because this is a decision that comes from, I think before I start talking, I have to explain to you, Nima, to all of you, how does the government work here in Yemen? It's like a triangle like this. At the top of the triangle, you have the spiritual guidance of Syed Abdul Malik al-Houthi, which we can say is the leader of Yemen. Then on the other two points of the triangle, we have the Supreme Political Council, and we have the government here in Sana'a, including, of course, the Ministry of Foreign Relations that we visit today. So this is the triangle. And obviously the decisions, it's not that you have unilateral decisions by the supreme leader, let's put it this way. the political council adapts the religious, moral, and spiritual vision of the leader to geopolitics and to military matters. And like that, we arrive at how the government works. Fascinating. For instance, 2 days ago, something that it hit us like literally, we were in a divania, a room here where you can relax, Islamic style, cushions, drink tea, etc. And we were waiting for the nightly speech of Abdul Malik al-Houthi, which is something that they watch every night. It's usually a spiritual speech with lots of quotations from the Quran, etc. Guess who shows up in our room unannounced? None other than Yahya Saree, the military spokesman of Ansar Allah. So many of us, you can see the pictures of many of us on the net, on Telegram, etc. And we were all like, wow, because we understand what it means for him to travel from where he was to come to our hotel, which is the best known hotel in town. It's an enormous security risk. He is the number one target of the Americans and the bloody Zionists now, because he is the face of Ansar Allah to the whole world.